Great, so let me call Facilities Committee meeting to order and start with roll call. We'll start with Mr. Fishbein.
Joel Fishbein here.
Ms. Haywood.
William Mulhern, present.
Dan Schultz, present.
Jennifer Woodman, present.
David Cohen, present.
Charles Riddle Williams, present. Zachary Epps, present.
Pam Henry, present.
Thank you. We next have minutes from March 7th meeting. May I have a motion, please, to approve them?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, questions, proposed changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Let me turn it over to Mr. Holman, who will be going through a PowerPoint and discussing various issues.
Thank you. Fine. Sorry, Mr. Cohen. I do apologize. So you see our vision and our vision. So let's get right into it. Next. Right there, that is a. Please bear with me on this one. I have my so I'm looking for my this all right, thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, so let's get into it. This right here is a this right here. Each year, the school district is required to submit an annual backflow inspection report to ensure that we are in compliance. It is designed, this right here is designed to keep water out of our, here's a path of water travel. And right there is back, here's a backflow, and there's the water coming into the building. Next, please. That's the backflow underground and the pit outside at the back of the building. Back on this side somewhere. Where else? Next slide. This is room 101. Should be completed over the next few weeks. This right here is, it's in progress. We have I guess you should have it. So this is, this is what it is right now. So let me, next slide, please. This is our roof here on this building. It has the roof decking and slate shingles have deteriorated due to the age of the roof. This problem has created water infiltration and caused damage in many areas of the building. This roof will need to be replaced in the future. Next slide. So here we have our new shingles, and here we have our old shingles. So as you see, it's a matter of time for it to be replaced. Next slide. Over the past year, the fire alarm system has experienced multiple communication malfunctions, which has prevented it from operating properly. There has been several repairs made to the system. However, it continues to be a safety hazard for students and faculty. The fire alarm system was installed over 25 years, so parts of it have become obsolete. Therefore, the entire system will need to be replaced. On Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, a bid advertisement was placed in several government and Buckstown newspapers. The bid opening is scheduled for April 12th at 10 a.m. Next slide. The scope of work will include the following: replacement of all strobes, horns, and pull stations, new fire panels, detectors, and all other ancillary devices will be replaced. The new system will be in compliance with the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association Code of Standards. The results of this bid will be provided at next week's Facilities Committee meeting. Come over here and that way I can. This is the library at the high school. This is the solution to it. This is what the vendor said to do, and it's what we're doing. We're not doing the work ourselves. We brought a company in to do the work for us. This happened over break, matter of fact. Next slide. This is the piping that feeds a dual temp system, and you can see it in different areas of the ceiling. So next slide. This right here is what I'm very proud of. As you can see, the what's it called, reflection on the ground. Here we have the different lights, right? There we have the new lights. So as you can see, this is the old lights, but this is the new lights back there. So, and that's going to be in the entire, as soon as we get a chance to do it, the entire building. So the lights in the lobby area were recently replaced with energy efficient LED fixtures, which aligns with the district's sustainability initiatives. The replacement of these fixtures will result in energy cost savings for the district. So next slide. So this is the STEM room at Elkins Park. It's in the process of becoming converted into an art classroom. The facilities department is removing all carpeting, installing new vinyl floor tiles and deep basin sinks. This room will also be painted. So next slide. So this is what it looks like this is what it looks like going forward. It's going to be fantastic. Next slide. The modern group was on site over spring break to complete several repairs to the generator switchgear. The switch was inoperable and was replaced to ensure seamless transfer of power in the event of an outage. Next slide. Fleet Up Standards includes an impressive array of core features that may make managing our fleet faster, simpler, and more intuitive. Real-time GPS tracking with 10-second updates, advanced map with live view, trip history, and data sharing, geofences with detection time, transit time analysis, and entering and exiting alerts, customized location alerts, vehicle inventory display on map for easy reference, custom tracking and monitoring alerts, live ETA trip history, and account sharing. Mobile app for fleet admins and operators. All right, next slide. So we finally decided on a work order system. The work order system is FMX, as you can see, and it can provide the needs of the school district. So that being said, that's what we went with. The program will be implemented immediately to the administration and formally introduced to the school district and community at the beginning of the school year. Next slide. We would like to welcome Mr. William Littles to the admin team in his capacity as custodial supervisor. Mr. Littles will be responsible for second shift custodial operations. Will was the day shift guy at the day shift gentleman at Cedarbrook. So that's why he looks familiar to you guys. That being said, he has an understanding of what's needed for this district, and you know, he's a welcome addition to the team. So that's my report.
Great. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board? Yes, Ms. Hugo, please.
A couple of questions.
Sure.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Mhm.
With respect to the library repairs, I'm trying to recall if we used an outside vendor at any point to help with the library renovations.
We did.
You did. So I guess my question is any of this covered under insurance? Do you know?
I'm going to sit here and want to say no. It's not. I'm going to go with. I want to punt this to Mr. Swagger and go from there.
So this was part of a larger project that was bid years ago. The vendor that did the initial work was deemed sufficient. There's still a dispute over remaining monies to be paid to that vendor. In the meantime, we brought in another engineering firm, Snyder Hoffman, to take a look at the work that was done in the original design. And he proposed a different type of installation. We brought in another contractor to make the correction. So I think the total cost of this was under the bid limit of $24,000.
Absolutely.
With the goal and the timing of this for it to be in operation and air conditioning to be on in the library before the summer starts at high school.
Oh, sure.
In terms of the Alkins Park, switching the STEM room into a art classroom, is the STEM room being removed or being just repositioned to another location? So in other words, are we removing?
I can
the
answer
STEM?
that. You don't even need to finish the question.
Yeah.
So the initial room that you just saw is being repurposed for the art because it's so much larger. We've identified another space within Elkins Park, which is going to come under the grant that we received, and we're going to be turning the other space into a maker space. So we're not losing that aspect
Great.
within the curriculum. So
The makers.
yeah, we're excited about that, and that will be a room that will be able to be utilized for every student, which is in the building.
Great, thank you. And my last question relates to the Glenside generator repair. Similar question, is that under warranty?
No, it's not in a warranty, only because of the amount of time it's outside of warranty. So, yeah, so it's not under warranty anymore. Because it's so the building and it's just a part of equipment that the school's bad at a lot.
Well, Glenside's not that old.
Well,
Old enough.
right.
Old enough to be out.
Right.
Thank you.
Right.
Other questions from the board? Yes, Mr. Fishbein.
The library,
Mhm.
or for Josh. What's held back from the original contractor, is that in the neighborhood of what we're paying this contractor?
It's pretty close.
Correct.
Good. I mean, that's on Ed to negotiate that, I guess, because that thing failed immediately. It was clearly not designed correctly,
Absolutely.
and it failed, and we had a problem right after we christened it. So that was, yeah, all right, as long as that's, because there's not a lot of institutional memory. I'm sure you knew it, but I just wanted to make sure you knew it.
And it's also too, these are one of those things where I just came in and, I took the bull by the horns and tried to, but because Josh is now here, able to get ahead of this and get things moving.
Good.
That's where we're at.
This building, is it a slate roof? And we're replacing slate shingles?
Yes, we are.
That's crazy.
It's the
What
reality.
you gotta do, right? But not a lot of slate left.
If I can stay with the library at high school and ask a follow-up question. So I haven't been there in years, but when I have been there before for a newer facility, a newer room, the sound was relatively deafening, which is ironic for a library. And I assume that's because of the way it was designed and also engineered. Do we know, will this make it quieter in terms of the HVAC operation?
That I don't know. And I can't honestly say that until summer run.
Okay.
I never heard it running. This fix was more to address the condensation issue.
Okay.
All right.
Other questions, Mr. Schultz?
Just a comment that I'm excited to know that the STEM will continue, but I'm also very excited that we're investing in arts facilities as well. I think it's great to see that we're continuing to do that.
Yeah. So.
Other questions from the board? Yes.
More just a comment. I mean, the slate roof, it is what it is. My parents had a slate roof. I grew up in a house with a slate roof. You gotta live with it if you have it, kind of. There's not much more you can do about it. It's expensive to repair, it's expensive to replace. It's just what it is. But I am glad to see that we are going to be bidding on a new. I know it's going to be expensive, but a new fire alarm system for the high school. And then congratulations on hiring Mr. Littles.
He is awesome. He is
Yeah.
awesome.
And just the final, where the STEM room that's now being converted into an art room, is that in the basement of Elkins Park?
It is.
Okay, that used to be, I think, a health room, actually. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what it was, yeah.
I think without knowing, there was a music.
Okay.
Originally, it was a locker.
Yeah, that was a regular middle school.
Yes, please.
Just more comment, but also question. I know that in the district, we've been on the path to LED lighting in all of our buildings for a number of years now. I know the high school gymnasium was done, I think, in most recent history. So I think just at some point, highlighting where we are just across the district. Amount of LED lighting we've upgraded to this point. I know we have multiple runs of PICO grants and PICO supported LED replacement projects. I think it would be just, again, a way to highlight some of the amounts of sustainability that we're trying to build into the district, especially considering that at least 2 or 3, including this one, of our buildings are relatively old. So any type of enhancement to help with energy management is definitely something I think the community will.
Got you. Understood. Yeah.
More of a comment, but again, I'm glad we're moving in that direction. I think the community, because we kind of put that stuff behind us.
Yeah.
Once we finish those projects, but I think that was a good one to want to reflect on for sure. So thank you.
So as you see, we're moving forward, and you can, have a building with however many years of neglect or whatever, and expect it to be fixed in one day. But we are on the right path. We have a strong team, supported Dr. Scriven and Mrs. Swiger. I can't go wrong. All right.
I have one other question regarding the work order system.
Mhm.
I know we've been using School Do for both preventative maintenance, school work order system, review. Are we supplementing School Do or we're replacing?
Replacing school all the way around. Entire
FMS?
FMS, yeah.
Is there a ramp up period where we have to input all of the data that we currently have?
Yes, it is. And that ramp up period, the whole system's going to take place on convert over on July 1st, matter of fact. So start of the school year is going to be the new kickoff date for that also. All right, you're welcome.
Great, thank you. There's no other questions of the board. We'll take questions from the community. If you can please identify yourself by name and part of the township you live in. And I don't know if we can pull the agenda up, but the questions should pertain to the agenda. So any questions or comments from the community? I'm sorry, yes, please.
So I just want to make sure the questions we can ask right here are just pertaining to this agenda, or they're not.
Right, just for the agenda.
Okay. Well, for the work order system, I have a question about, so this is the system that's in place for across the schools. If something goes wrong, it needs to be fixed. Is that new, or has that been up and running for quite some time?
It just got started, not today, but early on.
Okay, and what was the previous?
School Do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because is there like a known backlog for work for the high school? What I'm getting at is one of the main issues going on right now is the track and fields. And 3 of our track meets as recently as today, we had to forfeit points on the discus because our discus net has not been fixed. That work order has been put in from the coach several times, yet it has not been done. We've had to defer meets to other schools in order to not to lose points. Today, we could not defer a meet because the school couldn't accommodate us. So we are now in the middle of track season, and there is no foreseen date on when that is going to be completed.
So I'll respond. Right now, we're in the process of doing a feasibility study, and we have prioritized those athletic fields over and beyond what we're looking at doing district-wide. Full transparency, and you will always get that from me. We're in track season. We recognize there's nothing that we can do about this season. but we are going to expedite whatever we need to do to address those areas, probably before we even finish our feasibility study. So that will probably be a standalone, addressing the track, the stadium, the field. But we should have an updated report. What's the timeline? Would it be prior to June or right around June-ish? We have to go through a complete process with the vendor, the architect that we've outsourced to. Do you want to just give an update to that, Mr. Smart, where we are?
Sure. So we approved an architect for the feasibility study. Per the RFP, the plan completion date was middle of July. Obviously, there's some flexibility depending on naturally how the process progresses. I spent last week touring all the buildings with the architects in the district. They've already been provided with our enrollment information, our asset inventory information along with its age that we inventoried via EMG a couple of years ago. So we're moving right along with that process. And we have our certain goals in mind, as Dr. Scriven mentioned. Athletics is at the top of the list.
Our struggle is that we recognize that we could potentially move forward with some of the projects on the field outside of what we're looking at as it relates to EP and as it relates to the high school, the physical structure of the high school. But I need to go through the process just to validate and confirm some of the numbers with what we're thinking, because they are an architectural firm which will present to us designs and a path forward. Because what we will then have to do is, when I will be coming to you and others, is once we actually have something to present, and that's the problem. I can't go out to the community or stakeholders or anyone else with a vision in my mind, right? I need a concrete presentation of this is what we could potentially do, and this is the dollar amount that's going to be attached to it. And that's really what we're waiting for at this point in time. Because we do have partners that are willing to assist, but I've got to take a plan to present. And that's why we had to go through the process of going through the bid process, getting a vendor. Now we had the architect. Now, they've had their initial meeting with us. They're going to also want feedback from board, other stakeholders, but that's more as it relates to some of the programmatic stuff, when we're really trying to figure out what we're going to do with that 5-6.
Okay. I have one other question in terms of the lighting. Does this pertain to lighting only inside the building, or is this lighting outside the building in the parking lots?
It's what pertains to lighting everywhere,
Okay.
as we get around to it.
Okay.
So there's no guarantee for when we're going to get around to it, but hope to have it, eventually.
Does
That
that
makes
fall
sense,
into the feasibility study as well, the lighting, or is that separate from that study?
I think that the lighting is separate, and to Mr. Burdell Williams' point, it's a matter of us coming up with a timeline to present of what has been done, and then what our projection for actually touching the whole district will look like. Yeah. Yes.
Just to add context, this has been over several years, upgrades of different portions of the district. So I think, just to clarify, what the getting around to it is less a function of, oh, we're not doing anything else. Rather, there are lots of pieces of the lighting system that needs to be worked on and are being worked on. So when does that fit into the order of operation?
Okay. So I just want to add one comment. That's why I'm asking about the lighting. And this is in reference to the parking lot and the area leading up to the football stadium. So of course, we know we have our football games on Friday nights. And by the time that those games end, it's very dark leading into that parking lot. And with the amount of crowds that we've been drawing, since we're now a 6-8 school, that has become a hazard. So
adding that additional context, you are right. That is going to be part of what they present. Lighting does fall under that
okay,
umbrella.
I just want to make sure, because
Yep.
we're coming up on that next season.
Yeah.
We have a couple of very big games that are coming up, and I want to
Yeah.
make sure that we are prepared
Yeah.
for that. One,
And-
so that we don't have to, because last year we had an incident where we had to change our start times.
Right.
Trying to have it earlier, that
Right.
impacts the fundraising we do for our team. And it impacts everything all around with parents trying to get to the game.
Well, we even learned workarounds through that.
Right,
And if we have to do a workaround, we're prepared to do a workaround,
okay.
okay? And you know what, those are those additional
Yes,
lights that
yes.
happen.
It does, yeah.
So we just need to do that and have that ready earlier. I don't know where we are in the process. And you guys, I've been doing this long enough. I am not gonna overcommit. It's a process, right? So if we're not where we want to be, at least we know that we have alternatives to make sure that we have a safe environment.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions, comments, from the community?
Yeah, so Tony Uzell, I'm from the Rock section, I guess that's part of the township. I have a question about Glenside's generator situation. It seems like, I mean, that building feels brand new to me. It seems, it's difficult for me to wrap my mind around the fact that generator needs to be replaced.
So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna try to answer what I don't have all the information on. Chris Barone is my director for technology. The generator is really a standalone from the building itself. The generator is added and it's wherever we have a power outage, which supports our whole infrastructure around technology. So let me get him to give me an update, a written narrative, which will answer the question that you have and anyone else at the table in its entirety in terms of why we had to replace. We know that there was some failures that were happening, which was potentially going to cause a lot more damage if we didn't replace. But let me get him to give a full write-up on that, and then we can give that as an update in a follow-up meeting.
The generator wasn't replaced. It was a minor repair. It feels like a big deal on our side because all of our computer network infrastructure is in Glenside. So everything had to shut down in order for that generator to be.
I heard replacement, maybe that was me.
In the grand scheme of things, it was a minor generator repair, but it was a big lift on our end because the infrastructure was impacted by having to turn the power off at Glenside.
Okay.
I mean, that essentially shuts down power to the internet to the entire district when we shut down that building.
Other questions from the community?
Scott Reese, Elkins Park, I'm a ninth grader. Concerning the feasibility study, as well as the architectural plans that are due in June or July, is there a plan for prioritization of what gets done first in terms of the athletic fields? Because we do know that the field itself is really a priority for the team. And there's some concern about, you know, the curvature of it and the pits that are in it and you know, safety issues. And I know the team is very concerned about the safety of that field.
Yeah, that's something that we will do collaboratively. When I say that, once we have the full proposal, it will be presented. It will be presented to this board. That's when the dialogue will come into play around what is going to be approved and in what order. So again, I'm gonna take it step by step. I have some members on the board that the athletic fields and this and that, they may feel a certain way. I have other members that are all on board and understand the importance of that. I've shared on multiple occasions that that's the same field I played on when I was an athlete. So it is a priority. But again, I can't do anything until I have the full proposal, which shows the scope of the work, the cost of the work, and then I go through the appropriate steps to get it approved and a path forward. So all that's going to be taken under concessions. I mean, the whole nine. It's I've seen the old plan, and I believe these were the same architects that did that. I don't know what year, I can't remember, but that's when we were looking at partnering potentially with Arcadia. So I just have to wait to see what they develop. then you guys will see it.
Yes, please.
Could I ask one question? Patty Darwin, Elkins Park, Scott, my partner. About the feasibility plan, what is that? Could you just, it's my first time here. We just recently moved here 2 years ago. What, thank you. What does that include? Does that include all of the architecture of the school building itself? I know the high school needs some love. I know EP needs some love. My sister's a teacher at EP.
So EP needs more than love?
Yes, it does.
So to answer your question, what is going to happen? There's going to be a series of meetings because they don't do this work in isolation, where there'll be conversations with individuals from our administrative team here at Central, conversations with principals, with teachers, with community members. You have to look at programmatically, what do we have in the schools? And then when you look at this current year, 2023, are our facilities meeting that standard based on the programs that we're offering? With EP, it's a little more unique, and I don't mind putting this out there because it's the truth. We can't do a renovation at EP. It's not an option. So we're looking at, if we have to look at a different model, what would that look like? So part of this feasibility study will be all those different options. For instance, I'll just give you one. If we had to move 5th grade back into the K through 4 model, do we have the space to currently do that in our elementaries? If we do, at which elementaries? If not, what will we need to do to retrofit? Do we have the capacity to move 6th grade to Cedarbrook? We already know Cedarbrook was not built to house 6th grade. So what would an addition potentially cost if we had to do an addition at Cedarbrook? And what would that look like? Are we landlocked? Is that even a consideration? So these are why you have professionals that come in, which can give you multiple options, which we would then be able to have some very rich dialogue around what makes the most sense. So I hope, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, comments from the community? Yes.
Just one observation, and this is, I don't want this to be misinterpreted, but we just adopted a wonderful strategic plan. And as we go forward with the presentations, I'm sure we're going to replace the mission and vision that are currently in the presentations with mission and vision.
This is the new one. Yeah, the new one in here.
It wasn't on.
It wasn't on.
Not the one that's.
I was going there, I'm sorry.
The one that's.
All right, yeah, I'm looking at.
You are fine. So,
It's important.
no, my text message was the same. I was where Mrs. Haywood was. We need to update the mission and vision statements on our PowerPoint presentation document. And I got a response. They've been updated in Google. I'll send an email advising how to access. Thank you. Thumbs up. So I'm right there with you.
You're the macro and the micro.
It's important to keep on reinforcing.
Without a doubt.
And I've been aware too, there's a question in the Q&A, so if we can facilitate that question being given.
So the question in the Q&A is, I believe maintenance goes hand in hand with safety. I would like to know if the FMX program through its work order system is able to prioritize work orders in a way that it will scope out and highlight emergency safety issues.
Right, if that individual, if you can please type in your location for our records, that would be appreciated. Do we have a response to that question?
Yes. So when we look at safety, for instance, and prioritization, I think an excellent example was already given, which is Cheltenham High School and the fire alarm system, which is not functioning as it should. We prioritize that. We're looking at that work happening over the summer. And that is something that has surpassed everything else because we're talking about the safety and well-being of our students. If we have something dealing with a roof with leaks, which would potentially compromise the infrastructure of a building. If there's something dealing with water, because food and nutrition is paramount in terms of making sure that we can do meals and the hygiene that comes with that. And I'm speaking to you guys, I was just speaking to the person that asked the question, but I can't see him. But those are how we go about prioritizing. So there's things that need to happen immediately. Versus once we come up with our, Josh has 20 years, some of these things are going to get bumped a little earlier, but there's a cycle based on lifetime of different items that we will be following. Those work orders are things that I've been pushing since I've been here, and that's why I want to go to a system that will help generate a better report where checks and balances can be put in place. To your point, the number of outstanding work orders at the high school, why are they not happening? And what is our check and balance in terms of being able to do spot checks on things that are allegedly signed off for being done? Have they really been done? So this is our work. And that's how we're going to go about it. So they can email or call me and I can speak if they need more clarity, because I don't know if that answered them in the entirety.
Seeing there appear to be no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.